I want to bring in Karl Rove. And Karl, good morning to you. We were reading your piece. It dropped last night in the Wall Street Journal. Here's the headline: Trump versus the Banana Republic of Colorado. The effort to remove him from the ballot is legally baseless and helps his campaign. But you just heard Griff's report there. There are 31 outstanding cases right now trying to do this. What comes of that, Karl?
Well, it's a little bit. Griff is first of all, I wish I'd written the headline. There's a brilliant group that writes the headline, so I can't claim any credit for the headline. But what's interesting to me is that there are 15 states where these actions are underway. But for example, in 12 states, according to Lawfare website, the plaintiffs have withdrawn the suit, because recognizing how weak it is. But yeah, this is a big benefit to the former president. It makes him the center of attention, makes him a victim, makes him look like he's on the receiving end of unfair partisanship, and you know, it is unfair. I mean, this is hearkening back to a Reconstruction era section of the Constitution, of the 14th Amendment, that doesn't ever mention the word president and requires somebody to have been involved in insurrection or rebellion against the government. And like you said earlier, there's been no such trial that has found the president guilty of insurrection or rebellion. And this incidentally has been used twice in the history of our country. One time for a guy who had been found guilty under the Espionage Act and was running for a federal office. And this is during the early part of the 20th century, and you know, this is clearly politics, and it's the hard left of America deciding to make hay while they can, and it's helping President Trump, which is one of the great ironies.
Even Karl Rove, the rabid never-Trumper Karl Rove, the man most responsible, along with old Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy, the man most responsible for trying to destroy MAGA forces within the Republican Party, is indeed admitting that the Trump ballot ruling is absolutely backfiring on the Democrats. We're going to see how more and more members of the establishment, people you would never have imagined, are turning their backs on the pathetic, sniveling, conniving, anti-democratic Democrat Party and its blatant banana republic antics, signaling that perhaps we are about to see our own Berlin Wall come crashing down. You're going to absolutely love this. What if I told you there was a small group of investors who wildly outperformed the market? Well, there is, and you know exactly who they are. Corrupt politicians like Nancy Pelosi and establishment senators have been using their security clearances and exclusive knowledge to their advantage in the market for decades now. They know when sales are up. They know what earnings are going to be. They know about legislation, incoming Fed changes, you name it, a whole host of other inside baseball tips that gives them an unfair advantage when picking stocks. When these bigwigs make moves, odds are they know something. But thanks to a little-known SEC database, guess what? We can see what and when these people are buying. Not only do we get to see it in real time, but we get to piggyback on their trades to gain the same advantage for ourselves, perfectly legally and ethically. My friend Ross Givens has been tracking insider trading for years, and his recommendations have led to investment returns of over 200%. Some have hit as high as nearly 1,500%. And according to him, there's no better way to beat the market. Now it's your turn. Click on that link below right now and learn how you too can learn to trade like Pelosi. Click on that link and learn how to gain an insider advantage for yourself. Let's dive right in here. A growing consensus is building that this pathetic, ridiculous, anti-democratic attempt by the Democrats to kick President Trump off the presidential ballot will not only not succeed, it's going to backfire. And it's going to backfire big. Actually, it's already backfiring big time. No, it's not going to succeed in Colorado. It's not going to succeed in Nevada. It's not going to succeed in California. It's not going to succeed in Maine. It's not going to succeed anywhere in the whole of the nation. Quite the opposite it is only going to more guarantee Trump's 2024 victory. Breitbart is reporting that Republican state lawmakers in 3 states right now as we speak are drafting legislation to remove Sleepy Joe from their respective state ballots. This is part of the blowback, gang. Republicans in the states of Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania are drafting legislation that would remove Biden not only from the presidential ballot in November, but even from the Democrat primary ballots in their states. So he wouldn't even win the primary in those states. Now, this is exactly what we predicted would happen. This would be part of the fallout of this clown show in Colorado. My namesake, Jonathan Turley, law professor at George Washington University, he noted immediately, right after the this insane ruling was given, he noted that the legal reasoning or lack thereof given by these 4 Democrat so-called justices could just as easily and arbitrarily be applied to Joe Biden. If you're going to disqualify someone from the ballot based on finding them guilty of a crime they didn't commit, based on finding them guilty of a crime they haven't even been charged with, let alone convicted of, then any candidate could be barred from any ballot for any reason. You just need a bunch of sniveling judges to unilaterally declare them guilty of a crime they haven't even been charged with, and then use that as a pretense to disqualify them from the ballot. So that is exactly what these Republican lawmakers are doing. Here's a statement that they gave to Breitbart. Quote, "We are joining forces to introduce legislation to remove Joe Biden from the ballot in Georgia, Arizona, and Pennsylvania. The absurdity of radical Democrat judges removing Donald Trump from the ballot in Colorado will be a stain on the American political system for decades. By their very own interpretation of the law, Joe Biden is 100% not eligible to run for political office. Democrats' insane justification to remove Trump can just as easily be applied to Joe Biden for his insurrection at the southern border and his alleged corrupt family business dealings with China." I don't even know why they have to say alleged there. I mean, didn't Biden say it's self-evident Trump was in an insurrection? It's self-evident. That's their standard today. It's self-evident. Yeah. Which self are we talking about, right? So if self-evidence is all that's needed to convict someone, then obviously it's self-evident that Biden was involved in corrupt family business dealings with China. Obviously. So let's impeach him. But it's not just Republicans who are coming out steadfastly against this pathetic and ridiculous stunt from the anti-democratic Democrats. Even fellow Democrats are joining the growing chorus of outrage. Dean Phillips, the Minnesota representative who's challenging Biden for the Democrat nomination, he is but the latest Democrat to distance himself from this Colorado circus. Phillips, as a Democrat, noted, even voted to impeach Biden. I'm sorry, Trump. Wishful thinking on my part, right? He even voted to impeach Trump twice. But even he thinks this ruling is outrageous. Again, this is how insane this ruling is. Even members of Congress who voted to impeach Trump twice think this is utterly absurd and insane. You got to just let that hit you. Never Trumpers like Rove, right? Trump's fellow candidates, like even Nikki Haley's come out denouncing it. DeSantis slowly but surely came out to denounce it. Chris Krispy Kreme Christie has denounced it. Of course, Vivek was very courageous, saying, I'm taking my name off the Colorado primary ballot if Trump is not on there. Democrat presidential candidates who voted to impeach Trump twice. They're all coming out and openly denouncing this decision from the Colorado Supreme Court as an obviously illegitimate act of partisan politics betraying a banana republic. It is the blatant weaponization of our court system. And even never Trumpers and Democrats are calling it out as such. Here is swamp rat par excellence, Bill Barr on CNN.
Problem here is the denial of due process. To deprive somebody of the right to hold public office requires due process. It requires an adjudication of two core issues. One, was there an insurrection? Did the public disturbance rise to the level of an insurrection? And second, what was the role of the individual in there? Was it engagement? Did they do something to break their oath of office? Those are complicated facts, and this was denied due process. It was a 5-day hearing. There was no jury. It was before the judge. They were not able to subpoena witnesses and compel the attendance of witnesses. They relied on the hearings, the January 6th committee hearings, which is mostly hearsay. There was no right to cross-examine during those hearings and so forth. So as the dissent said, and by the way, the three Democratic justices who dissented, their opinions, I think, are masterful. And as they pointed out, they said, the process here was a procedural Frankenstein.
A procedural Frankenstein. Where does he come up with a phrase like that? That was beautiful. So I guess a broken clock can be right twice a day. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, did you notice him throwing the J6 committee under the bus? What the hell was that? I thought Liz Cheney was the single greatest defender of democracy we have ever seen since George Washington. Well, he just called the J6 hearings hearsay. There was no cross-examination. It was all here. It was blatant propaganda. And yet CNN, the very network that he's on, 24/7 pushed it as the greatest defense in the history of our republic for our way of life. A procedural Frankenstein. That's how the dissenting judges on the Colorado Supreme Court, who are also Democrats, keep in mind, that's how they characterize the proceedings. In fact, one of those judges, Justice Carlos Zamor, said this, quote, "The decision to bar former President Donald J. Trump, by all accounts, the current leading Republican presidential candidate and reportedly the current leading overall presidential candidate." In other words, he's beating Biden from Colorado's presidential primary ballot, flies in the face of the due process doctrine. There was no fair trial. I have been involved in the justice system for 33 years now, and what took place here doesn't resemble anything I've ever seen in a courtroom. I mean, gang, that was from one of the judges on the Colorado Supreme Court, one of the dissenting judges, a Democrat to boot. And he is calling out how he's saying that these judges were not simply wrong. Their ruling wasn't simply wrong. Their ruling was perverse. Their ruling was perverse. It was a travesty of justice because it was the blatant politicalization of our justice system. And you will not believe the group of Democrats that are now, as of today, openly panicking over the backlash they're seeing over this decision.